Hello, everybody. Hopefully you did the warm-up, and if you had any questions or problems with it, you watched the little video at the end of the warm-up that kind of showed you how to do it. I think he did a few different problems or a little bit, but you should be able to understand how to do it from the video. And now we're going to go through the problems in the lesson. So this is a review of what we were doing yesterday, so the same sort of thing, graphing inequalities, and then a bunch of review stuff on the linear things. So they want to know if these points are solutions. So anytime you're looking for something to be a solution, you just plug the x and the y number into the equation, or the inequality in this case, and if it's true, it's a solution. If it's not true, then it's not a solution. So remember, in the ordered pair, the x is first and the y is always second, because in the alphabet, W, X, Y, Z, x comes first and y comes second. So let me write that down. W, X, Y, Z. That's the very end of the alphabet. X comes first, y comes second. So that's your x and that's your y. So when you plug these in, wherever the x's are, you make a parentheses, and the y, make a parentheses, and then you're going to drop the numbers in. 2 is the x and 2 is the y. So the 2 goes here, and then you can just rewrite that. Now notice I only rewrote this left-hand side. I'm just simplifying this left-hand side in the calculator. It is all math. So in the Inspire calculator, this is the add subtract screen. Now when you're typing these in, these negative things cannot be typed in on the laptop keyboard itself. This is with the cursor on the screen. So you have that little, the little buttons you can push on the screen with the cursor. So that's what you're going to be doing. Now, when you type these in, a lot of people still confuse the negatives and the subtractions and all that stuff. So if it's at the very, very beginning, you use the negative key. Other than that, everything else can be subtraction. Now, when you're typing in equations, you can literally use subtraction for everything. But on the add subtract screen, the very first one needs to be a negative key. Otherwise, when you hit subtract key here, it pops in the screen the word answer, meaning it thinks you're taking an answer from previous and subtracting. So negative key at the very beginning, everything else can be subtraction when you see this. So negative key, 6 parentheses 2, close the parentheses, subtract 4 parentheses 2 and close it. It will tell you the side is negative 20. So we have negative 20 and then greater than 0. So remember, the mouth is eating the bigger one. So it's eating the negative 20, which is saying the negative 20 is the bigger one. Is negative 20 bigger than 0? No, negative 20 is to the left of 0 on the number line, so it is not bigger. It is smaller. So this is false. So since it's false, you're going to circle no on this one, right? There's my no. All right. Now, when you get ready to do the next one, the negative 2, same thing. You're going to drop in the negative 2 and the negative 2. When you're typing it in the calculator, remember this is going to be, these little negative signs have to be all done on the screen with the cursor. The very first one needs to be the negative key, and all the rest of these can be subtract, 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 and it will work beautifully that way. So negative key at the very beginning, subtract for everything else. And when you type that one in, this is what you wind up getting. Let's see. When you type in the negative 2, it winds up being 20 is greater than 0. Now, is 20 bigger than 0? Because it's eating the big number. And 20 is indeed bigger than 0, so that one is true. When you type into negative 3 and you do the math on the left-hand side, you get a 0. So you plugged in a 2 for the x, negative 3 for the y. The calculator said it's a 0. Now, is 0 greater than 0? No, they're equal, but they're not greater than each other because they're the same. So this is false. So this one is not a solution. So on this one, you plug in the 0, 0. I'm going to let you go do that in the calculator and see what you get and whether it's a solution or not. Remember, if it's true, it's a solution. If it's false, it's not a solution. Number 2 is on our screen. So let me come over here to the screen. Here we go. Number 2 says, if you're going to graph a linear inequality and use a less than or greater than sign, should the line be solid or dashed? So if you remember from our notes yesterday and everything we've been doing, if there is a line underneath these, meaning it's or equal to, then it would be a solid line. So since these do not have a line underneath them, it is indeed going to be dashed. So hopefully you know it's dashed, and you don't say, I don't have a clue because I didn't watch any of the videos. Hopefully that is not you. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3 is also going to be on screen, so let me slide this thing up. Number 3 is saying, write the inequality that goes with this picture. So this is a dashed line. So I do not want an answer that has a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So look at my choices down here. This one has the line underneath it. That goes with a solid line, not my answer. This one would have a solid line, not my answer. So the first 2 are crossed off. These 2 are in the hunt because they are both dashed lines. Okay? Now, negative slope, and this line does go down, so that is true. And of course, the y-intercept is 0 on both of these, and it is crossing at 0. So the two equations are identical. The only thing that's different is the greater than symbol or the less than symbol. So what you might want to do is test the point. Well, actually, we can't test 0, 0 because it is on those 0, 0. So instead of testing 0, 0, since it's not clearly in the shade or in the not shade, what we can do is look at the y. The y is being eaten here, right? So if the y's are greater than, I'm going to shade going up because the y's going up are part of my solutions. So this is telling me that the y's are greater than the line. And coming up from the y-intercept, these y numbers get bigger, and so this would be the side that gets shaded. So this one would say the y's are less than, which means you would shade the other side. And that would have been shading this side, but they didn't shade this side, did they? They shaded the upside. So the one that we want is that one right there with the y's are greater than. Now you can only do the shade up or shade down when it's in y equals format. Otherwise it won't work. Okay, so that was number 3. Let's see what else we have. Number 4 is also on the screen. So let me slide this down. So number 4, they give you 4 pictures and they say graph this particular inequality. Now, solid line or dash line? Yes, it's a dash line. Unfortunately, all 4 of these are dashed, so that didn't help me out. Positive slope or negative slope? It is a negative slope. Negative, 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 negative. So far, I am just not having much luck at all. The y-intercept is a positive 6. Is that at a positive 6? Yes. Is this at a positive 6? No, this one is negative 6, so it's not. B. Positive 6, yes. Positive 6, no. So we got rid of these 2 down here that have a y-intercept of a negative 6, but we're keeping the 2 that have a positive 6 y-intercept. Now, how would you decide which one it is? Well, let's look to see if the origin might be a good test point. This origin is in the shade, so it's a solution. This origin on this one is not a solution, so 0, 0 is a great point to test because if it's a solution, I'm going to pick this graph. If it's not a solution, I'm going to pick that graph. So go back to your original equation and let's go plug in a 0 for the y and a 0 for the x because that point right there has the coordinates 0, 0. That point has the coordinate 0, 0. So I think I did this on my paper. So we're testing this point now. We have y is less than negative 3 halves x plus 6. We're testing the point 0, 0. So plug the y in for the 0 and plug the x in for the 0. The nice thing about this is anything times 0 is 0. So this whole thing here becomes a 0 plus 6, which is just 6. So 0 is less than 6 is what this is saying. It's eating the bigger number, so it's saying 6 is the bigger number. Is 6 bigger than 0? Yes. So is this a solution? Yes. This one is a solution. So I want to pick the picture that has the origin in the shaded area. The shaded area has your points. So between these 2 pictures up here, which one has the origin in the shade? Yes. This one? No. So A is your answer. All right, so you can test that point to pick those out. 5 goes back to our paper. So here's our question on the paper, if I can get back far enough. They have the inequality. We want to know which graph matches it. Is it a dashed line or a solid line? You're right, that is a dashed line. So we're going to get rid of A, and we're going to get rid of C. It's going to be one of these 2 dashed lines down here. Now, we might want to look to see if we can test the origin. So here it is a not solution, and here it is a solution. So the origin would be a good point to test to determine which one of these works. If the origin doesn't work, then I'm going to pick this graph. If the origin is a solution, I'm going to pick this graph because it's in the shaded part. So let's go test number 5. So number 5, do I have it here? Oh, here it is. So I plug in, I took the equation, and where the x is, I made a parentheses, and where the y is, I made a parentheses. And so I dropped in the 0 and the 0. And that's greater than 20. So I'm just simplifying this left-hand side here. 0 times anything is 0. 0 times anything is 0. So this just became a big 0 plus 0. And that's just 0. So 0 plus 0 is 0. So that whole side simplifies to 0. That's why we like to test the origin. It's easy math. So this is saying the 0 is greater than 20. You're eating the bigger number. Is 0 bigger than 20? No, 0 is not bigger than 20. So this is false. So which one am I going to pick? I'm going to pick the one where it's not in the shaded part. This tells me the origin is not a solution. This one, it should have been a solution. We didn't get it as a solution. It was not. So this is the one that worked. So B on number 5. Okay, let's see. Number 6 is back on the screen. So let me come back to my screen. Number 6. Write the inequality of the picture below. So, first of all, is it a dash? It is a dash line. So let's go look at my answer choices. That's a dash line. That's a dash line. These 2 would have been a solid line, so it's not these 2. So look for the easy things to eliminate answers always. So it's one of these 2. And I notice that 3x plus 4y, the symbol, and the negative 6 are identical other than the symbol. So I'm thinking, let's test this point here, 0, 0. And if I'm lucky, I'm looking for the one where it is a solution. So if I test 0, 0 and it works, it's true, it matches this graph. So I'm going to do that, I think, on my paper, number 6. Yes, here I go. So this is the first equation, and this was the second equation that worked as far as the dashed line goes. So I plug in the 0, 0, 0 for the x, 0 for the y. I go do the math on this side, and of course this is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0, so this whole side became 0. And this is saying that I'm eating the bigger number, so this is saying 0 is bigger than negative 6. Is 0 bigger than a negative number? Yes, that is true. So this one's true. Now if you were to plug it into the other one, 0 would be less than negative 6, because the only difference was the direction of the symbol. Is 0 smaller than negative 6? No, 0 is bigger than negative 6, so this one is false. So if this had been my equation, the origin would be in the white place. Let's go see which one my origin was. My origin is in the shaded, so I wanted the one that was true, and the one that was true was the first one with the greater than symbol in it. So that's the one I want with the greater than symbol. And that one is the first one up here. It has the greater than symbol. So that's how you test the points to see which one it is. I think number 7 sends me back to the paper. Yes, 7 is on the paper. So let's go find number 7 on my paper. Here we go. So number 7 is, here's the inequality, and they want to know which graph matches it. So looking at the symbol, it is a dashed line. Unfortunately, they are all dashed, so that didn't help any. So then I think, okay, it's not in y equals format, so I can't see the slope of the y-intercept. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I could test a point. Here's the origin, it's in the shade. Here's the origin, it's in the shade. Here's the origin, it's not in the shade. Here's the origin, not in the shade. So if I test the point 0, 0, I'm not going to get the exact answer, but I will either know it's these two or it's these two. So I'm going to go ahead and test the origin just so I can rule off a couple of answers. So here's where I go tested it. Here's my 0, 0. Here's my equation. I plug in the x is 0 and the y is 0, and that means this whole side becomes a 0. Is 0 greater than 24? Is 0 bigger than the 24? 0 is not bigger than 24, so this is false. So since it's false, what I want to do is pick the one where the origin is not in the shaded area. So which were the ones that had it not in the shade? This was a solution, this was a solution, so I'm not picking those two. So I'm going to get rid of those so I don't look at them anymore. But these two are not solutions, which is what I got when I tested that point. It is not a solution. Now, I may say, okay, you could solve for y and then go see which one has the right y-intercept, because this is between -4 and -5, and this one has an intercept between -1 and -2. So you could go solve for y and do it that way. If you don't like solving for y and are afraid you're going to make a mistake, we could test another point. But that means I need to find a point that's in the shade on one graph and not in the shade on the other. I like to use points on the axes if I can, because that gives me a 0 on one of them. So I notice that this -4 is in the white, but on this graph it's in the gray. So this point would be a good one to test. Right here it is in the white. Here's the same point in the shade. So this is the point -4, 0. I'm going to put a little -4, 0 here. So that's the point right there. And this is the corresponding one over here, -4, 0. Now you may say, well, there are other points you could test. Well, sure, let's try on the y-axis. Coming down here, I notice these are in the white, and down here, ooh, that gets shaded pretty quickly. So -2 is in the shade, -2 is in the white. So I could test that point, which would be 0, -2. And this one, again, is also the same thing, 0, -2. You could also check the 3, because this one's in the white, and this -3 is in the shade. So again, there are several points that you could choose from. I did the -4, 0. So x is -4, y is 0. So let's see where I did that on my paper. Here we go. I tested that point, -4, 0. So I plugged it into the equation they gave me. This is the x number, that's the y number. And you can literally plug this whole side in the calculator and just do the math on the add subtract screen. Again, negative key at the beginning, subtraction key, and it will tell you this whole thing is 48. So 48 is greater than 24. Is this true? You're eating the bigger number, so 48 is indeed bigger than 24, so it is true. So -4, 0 needs to be in the shade. So I'm looking for the answer that has this point in the shade. Which one has it in the shade? Not that one. Is this one in the shade? Yes. So D is the answer on that one. So testing points is a handy little thing. Sometimes it's so tricky to find a point that works, but you can take your time and do that. Okay, so that was number, 7? Number 8 is back on my screen. Let me move back over here. I know we just keep jumping around. Number 8, here we go. Write the inequality that matches this picture. Well, first of all, I notice this is a dashed line. So I'm not going to pick this one because that would be solid. That one would have been solid, so the first two are out. And the next two are in the running because they are both dashed lines. And again, I kind of noticed that they're both negative 2y, negative 3x, negative 12. The only difference is the inequality symbol. I'm hoping I can just go test this point. Now notice 0, 0 is not a solution. So when I go plug this into these two equations, I'm looking for the one that gives me a not solution. So I want the one that's false for 0, 0. So this is number 8. Yeah, number 8. So let me go find number 8 here on my paper. So I'm testing 0, 0. Here's the equation. This is the y. And it doesn't really matter because the x and y's are both 0, so I plug in a 0 and a 0. So I plug in a 0 here, and I plug in a 0 there. I'm just simplifying the left-hand side in the calculator. Negative, key at the very beginning, remember on the screen, 2 parentheses 0, subtract, and all that. And when you put that left-hand side in, you get a 0. So this is saying 0 is less than negative 12. I'm eating the bigger number. Is negative 12 bigger than 0? No, it's to the left on the number line of 0. Negative numbers are smaller than 0, not bigger, so this is false. So I want the one that's not a solution, the one where the origin is in the white area. I'm looking for where the origin is in the white area. So that was the one I wanted because I wanted it to be in the white area, didn't I? So that's the one I want, which is the very first one I did. It's the one that gives me in it, so that would be the answer on that one. Okay, if you wanted to put it in this other one, you could, but it would have been a true on that one, which is not what we wanted. We wanted it to be the false one. So it was this particular, the third one on that one. Number 9, we're going back to the paper from now on. So here we go. This is the old stuff, find the slope of a line. This is a flat line. If you remember the slope song, if I can do the slope song this way, I'll do it with my pencil. Oops, I get my pencil in here. Where is it? I can't see my pen. There it is. 0, positive, undefined, negative, 0, positive going up, undefined, negative, 0. So here's my 0, 1. This is also a horizontal line, right? Horizontal is HOY, H-O-Y. So if it is H-O-Y, the slope is, let me write my H-O-Y in here, H-O-Y, HOY for horizontal, H. So the slope is 0, not undefined, so it is 0D. Okay, so a lot of this is the old stuff. That was number 9. Number 10, where's my number 10? Find the slope of a line through the 2 points. So remember, you find slope through 2 points, you can look on your reference chart, and it tells you y minus y over x minus x is your slope. So again, make yourself parentheses and drop the 2 y numbers in, drop the 2 x numbers in. Y's go on top. This is the x, that's the y. So it's a -1 on top and a -1 on top. -1, -1. And then on bottom, you're going to put in the -5 and the 1. Now, this whole thing can go in the calculator under the add subtract screen on the TI Inspire. So you hit Control Divide, parentheses on top, -1. And again, this could literally be subtract, 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 all inside there. And then on the bottom of the fraction, you're going to put subtract, subtract, and put parentheses around everything. Be sure to put the parentheses in, or you may make a mistake on the math. It keeps the calculator from making a mistake if you put parentheses around it. And then just hit enter and see which one you get. Okay, I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to let you go do that. Number 11, they want to write the equation of this line. Luckily, these are all in y equals format. So remember, in y equals format, the number in front of the x is your slope. The number on the end is the y-intercept. This is a negative slope from left to right. We read words on the paper from left to right, so we read the graph the same way. If it's going down, that's bad going down, so that's your negative. Going up is happy, that would have been positive. So this is a negative slope, and the y-intercept is crossing the y-axis at +6. So I'm looking for a negative slope number and a +6 on the end. So go pick out the one that has a negative slope number and a +6 on the end. Okay, that should be easy enough to do. 13, where is my number 13? 13, 13, 13, 12. Oh, that was 11. We're up to 12. Okay, so 12. Write the equation of a line going through the 2 points. These are all in y equals format, so I can put them in the table. I can put them in the calculator, the Inspire calculator, and the graph icon, and check the table for each one of these equations and see if they go through both these points. X is 3, y is 1. X is 1, the y is -1. So just check the table and see if they go through those points using the Inspire calculator. All right, so that was number 12. Number 13. Ooh, these are the ones we've done in the past. Y varies directly. So as soon as you see those words, you should be having ding, ding, ding butterflies flying around your head with respect to x. So this is your butterfly problem where a fraction equals a fraction, and we're going to cross multiply. So the first 2 numbers they give you make the first fraction. So x is -10 and y is -30. It does not matter which one you put on top or bottom, as long as you label which is which. I put the x on top and I put the y on bottom. So when I do my second fraction, I need to make sure the x goes on top and the y goes on bottom. So now they say to me, what is y? So I do not know y. So I'm going to leave y as y. When x is negative 25, and we put the x's on top, so that's negative 25. Now, how do you solve this? You make the butterfly. This times this is equal to this times this. So negative 30 times negative 25. Okay, those two things multiplied together, those looped together, is equal to these two multiplied together, negative 10 times y. And that's how you write it, just negative 10y. They're smushed together, that's multiplication. So how do you get y by itself? We want to solve for y. Divide by negative 10. If you do it to one side, you do it to the other side. So the 10s are now gone. So literally, y is equal to whatever this math is. So in the calculator, you just do negative 30 times negative 25. Take that answer and divide it by 10, and you've got your what y is equal to. Number 14, the distance one travels varies directly. You should be going ding, ding, ding. Butterfly problem, go do that one. Okay, so set that up. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So that it's not in slope-intercept form now, but I want it to be in y equals format, so we're solving for y. So remember, we're going to get rid of the whole x term first. We want to keep the y on the side, and we're going to undo this last. So get rid of the x term. How do you undo subtracting? We add 1x. If you do it to one side, we do it to the other side. And it's the whole x term, so I'm adding 1x, not just 1. So that whole x term goes away, and then I'm going to rewrite. Negative 3y is equal to 3 and 1x cannot be added together. They are not like terms. There is no x with the 3. So I'm going to write the x term first and the positive 3 second, because this is going to be my slope number, and this is going to be my y-intercept when I'm done. But I'm not done yet. How do you undo multiplying by negative 3? Divide by negative 3. If you do it to one side, we do it to both pieces over here. Boom, that is gone. And the calculator, you can reduce the fraction. So just put 1 over negative 3 in the calculator, and it tells you it's still negative 1/3 with the x after it, because I'm just putting in this fraction only in the add subtract screen. And then put in the 3 divided by negative 3 on the add subtract screen, and it will tell you negative 1. So find the one that matches that over there, and you got your answer. You are getting very good, by the way, at solving these for y. Number 16, write the equation of a line having a y-intercept of 4 and a slope of negative 1. Hopefully you know by now, when they're in y equals format, where the slope is and where the y-intercept is, so go find the one that matches. Be very careful, okay? I think those are, yeah, plus signs on the A and C. Okay, this one, find the x and y intercepts. Again, straightforward. Y-intercepts is where it's crossing the y-axis, and this is the y-axis over here. I wish they would put the y closer to it, but this is the y-axis, so it's crossing right there. That is that point, if I can make it a bit prettier, is the y-intercept. Where it crosses the x-axis is the x-intercept. So be very careful when you're reading down here to pick out the one that has the right y-intercept and the right x-intercept. 17, 18. These are those, the pattern ones, where we call them, I can't think of the word right now, sequences. There we go. So remember, in the formulas for the sequences, you can see the first term and you can see the math that's happening in the pattern. So in this pattern down here, what is the first term? A 3. So I'm looking for one of these formulas that has a 3 in it. And what is the pattern? To get from 3 to 7, 7 to 11, 11 to 15, what are we doing over and over? We are adding 4. So I am looking for something that shows 3 is the first thing and that I'm adding 4 to it. Do you see anything that has a 3 with a plus 4? Yes, there is only one that does that. That is A. So those formulas always have the first term first, and then right after that will be the math that's happening. Okay, so don't forget those. Those are easy questions on the STAR test when they're in that version. They have some harder versions of those, but those are the easier ones. Okay, number 19, we're almost done. Find the slope of a line parallel to this line. If they have parallel slopes, will they be the same or different? You're right. Parallel lines will have the exact same slope. So if I know the slope of this line, I will know the slope of the one I'm looking for. But this is not in y equals format, so we're going to have to solve for y first. We've been practicing this a lot. So get rid of the whole 2x term first by adding 2x. If I do it to one side, do it to the other side. 2x's are now gone. The negative 2y comes down. The equal sign comes down. Rewrite 2x minus 1. Y is not by itself, so let's divide by negative 2 to get rid of that. Now, when I'm doing this, I am only interested in the slope, so I really don't care about this number over here. This is the number I want to find, the one in front of the x. So 2 divided by -2 in your calculator, see what it gets, and then find that answer that's over here that matches. So double check it with the calculator, make sure you do that math, 2 divided by -2. You can do that control divide on the add subtract screen. Last one, make a graph of the inequality. I'm going to let you do that one on your own and see how you do on it, okay? You've got 4 different boxes here. You've got 2 solids and 2 dashed ones. So go do that and see what you come up with. Check test a point, maybe the 0, 0 origin. And if you rule 2 of them off first with the dashed and solid. Okay, bye everybody.